This is TWiT.
All right, back from the break. And that means it's time for our final story. Now that we're past noon, I apologize to our next guest, who will be familiar to some of you. It's Jason Howell. Welcome back to the show, Jason.
How's it going? It's good to see you, Micah. Good to see you, TWiT team, TWiT fam.
Woo! Good to have you here, especially to talk about this story, because I'm sure you tuned into the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked event, and I need help sorting through everything that happened, starting with the latest hardware from the company in terms of the smartphones. Tell us about the Z Fold 6 and the Z Flip 6. What's new? What's not?
Yeah. It's a hard question to answer this time around, because I think for all of these categories, there's like a big thing, and then we'll kind of go out from that. I think the big thing with their foldables right now is that they're more expensive. So the Z Flip 6 and the Z Fold 6 are both $100 more than last year's versions of these, which I think is a pretty big deal, and not a great thing, but hey, inflation comes for all of us, I suppose. Also, it's more iterative, and I think those two things in combination aren't necessarily an amazing thing when you're talking about, hey, we're Samsung, we've got this new hardware we want you to upgrade to. It's becoming a little bit harder in their foldable lineup to make the case that you have to upgrade to this next one. I mean, the Z Fold 6, yeah, it's thinner, it's lighter, it's got a little bit wider of a front cover, which has long been kind of one of my least favorite things about the Z Fold 6, is that the front cover is so thin that, yes, it can be a phone, but it's a really thin phone, and that limits kind of the usability to a certain degree. The rear cameras are housed in a way that's similar to the previous version, but still kind of changes things slightly. It's all these like little minor changes that, in essence, do they justify the fact that you're ultimately going to spend $100 more? Sure, you're getting your spec, bump inside the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. You're getting, a heck of a lot of RAM. These are going to be excellent phones, no doubt about it. But are they justifying properly the $100 price increase? And that goes also for the Z Flip 6, of course, as well. The cover screen didn't get much of an upgrade. There's also a lot of really great competitors out there when we're talking about foldables. It's not just Samsung anymore, and I give them full credit because they really kicked this off in a wide spectrum. And motivated a lot of other manufacturers in the Android space to get on board with foldables. They used to be far and ahead of the competition, and now the competition is catching up, if not caught up, and they're offering hardware that's less expensive. So how does Samsung keep justifying?
That is kind of something that stuck out to me, that the people, the reaction to this latest one was, it's what you started out by saying. What's different about them, first and foremost? They cost more money. That's not enough. Like, what?
No, it's not.
What's going on there? How much did Samsung discuss and show off any new expressions of artificial intelligence at this hardware event? Was that a part of this at all, or has Samsung already of shown that?
Yeah, Galaxy AI is Samsung's AI play, and AI certainly featured a lot in the presentation. You actually had Rick Osterloh from Google's hardware division take the stage at one point to talk about, kind of the integration of Gemini, really kind of showing how close Samsung and Google are working together with their Android efforts, which is definitely, as someone who's been covering Android for a very long time, very interesting, considering only a handful of years, Samsung wouldn't even say the word Android on stage anymore. They wanted distance. And now they're close together. And largely, I think part of this is because of AI, right? Like, Samsung doesn't have its own AI play. It is utilizing Google's Gemini AI on device. But again, we're kind of at this point in a very short amount of time. We went from AI is the biggest, greatest new thing for smartphones and it does all these things to, oh yeah, but all the phones kind of do that now. So now what are you going to do? What have you done for me lately? On device AI. And I mean, AI ambient wallpaper that follows the weather. That's one aspect of it. There's these little examples, but again, nothing that really takes it to that next level where you're like, oh my goodness, that's the killer app. That's the killer feature. It's just they're all playing kind of like little incremental catch up, even when it comes to AI and in a short amount of time. It's kind of interesting.
So that's kind of supposed to be, right, the big hardware thing. But the company also announced some wearables. And I want to start by talking about some interesting watches. First, if you could tell us about the Watch 7 and the Watch Ultra. And then I'm curious to hear your take on comparisons that have been made between, watches from other companies, we'll say. Because there's a large part of me that feels like there's only so much you can do with a watch and watch design. So to try to say that it's a direct copy and paste from Apple is a little bit kind of like, is it? But then I saw the Watch Ultra side by side with an Apple Watch Ultra, which is also called Ultra. And
Ultra.
I thought, there's a little bit of an argument there. But yeah, tell us about the Watch 7 and the Watch Ultra. And then, believe it or not, we're going to take a quick break after that.
Yeah, and we've got more. I know this was an incredible amount of hardware at this event. Yeah, I mean, here with the watches, the big thing is what you mentioned, that holy moly, this thing looks a lot like the Apple Watch Ultra. But also, I would go ahead and put a little flag in the ground and say, Trend Watch, orange is the new black. These watches, the Nothing CMF phone, that was announced last week, the Rabbit R1, which actually I'm late to the game, but I finally got in my hands. Like our orange is wow, such a big color for this year. So you're seeing it a little bit here. It really, you're seeing it left, right, and center, which is similar to what Apple had with its watch. So the Galaxy Watch Ultra, big, rugged titanium design, has that sapphire crystal display. This is a big chunky watch, 47 millimeters, IP68 rated, 10 ATM waterproof. So that basically means 328 feet depth for 10 minutes. So, it's really tough. It's meant for like ocean swimming, mountain climbing, all those, rough and tumble things. The design itself, squircle design, if you want to call it that, although it's still really a display that's circular. It's just a circular display housed in a squircle body. I just love that name, squircle. Anyway, so it gives it a little bit of a different feel, but like you said, you put it up against Apple's, top of the line watch, and there's a lot of similarity there. And this thing also is, more expensive than we're used to seeing from Samsung in their watches, but less expensive than the Apple version of this watch. It's $650 for this compared to the $299 that you pay for the Galaxy Watch 7, which is definitely more of like the standard smartwatch. 40 millimeters, 44 millimeters. So a couple of different sizes, smaller sizes, no doubt. And again, IP68 rated, 5 ATM waterproof. So it can't quite go as deep. It can go 164 feet deep at 10 minutes, but still probably a pretty great smartwatch. But there's a lot of similarity. And this is not the only hardware that we saw that we're going to talk about that has a very strong similarity to what Apple Design has put out in the last handful of years. So something interesting going on with Samsung right now.
Thanks so much for watching this little chunk of Tech News Weekly. If you'd like to get the full episode, well, head over to twit.tv/TNW. There you'll find buttons you can click or tap to subscribe to the entire show in audio and video formats. Or just look in the description. We've got links down there as well.